The last good Ben 10 game was 15 years ago, so for the last year, I've been working on my own Ben 10 fan game, Galvin. Being a lifelong fan of Ben 10, knowing how rich the universe is from the wide variety of aliens, characters, locations, and extensive lore, it felt perfect for a sandbox experience. Not just sandboxes, but over the last couple of decades, there's been a lot of great games in the superhero genre that I'm heavily inspired by, primarily the PS3 era stuff, like the amazing Beyond Spider-Man games, Shattered Dimension and Edge of Time, the LEGO superhero games, and Prototype, but also some newer titles like Undefeated. That kind of energy is what I hope to bring into Galvin, a sandbox with whatever I find cool and fun to add. In Galvin, you'll be playing as
Ben Tennyson, wielder of the most powerful weapon in the universe.
For the Omnitrix, I looked at a few ways to manage the alien selection from previous Ben 10 installments, but the wheel was the most intuitive, especially considering the large roster of over 60 aliens. Speaking of aliens, let's get into everyone that's added so far. Heatblast and Swampfire both have fireballs that can be charged for a stronger blast that deals more damage. Heatblast deals more fire damage, whereas Swampfires are slightly weaker to focus more on his plant-based abilities and raw strength. As of now, Swampfire doesn't have any vine or plant-related mechanics, but I absolutely plan on adding them in the future. Next, Forearms. He has the most combat implemented across the entire project so far, but nowhere near perfect. He can launch enemies, slam them back to the ground, then use his Thunderclap to launch them forwards. I'm currently taking a look at Smash Ultimate for inspiration on how I'm going to approach additional combat scenarios with him. Stuff like Ridley's face drag move is pretty awesome, and just the general interaction with the enemy, grabbing him, slamming him, etc. Apart from combat, his main way of traversal is super jumping. Charging up and launching from the ground, you can get over large areas in a single bound. Acceler is the resident speedster. He currently only has super speed and his own form of flash time. This allows him to move more significantly faster, while the entire world around him is slowed down. Later, I'd like to add a teleport ability similar to Saboteur from the CW Flash show, where he enters a Speed Force tunnel. You choose a location on the map, then run through the speed tunnel, basically more gameplay for a fast travel that makes sense for the character. For his combat, like many other aliens, he doesn't have any for now. He'll most likely have something similar to Batman Arkham, bouncing between enemies delivering quick strikes. Growing up with GTA 5 mods, I'd really love to incorporate stuff you see in those Flash or Quicksilver mods, being able to grab enemies, whatever they're holding, etc., and just chuck them and watch them go flying after you leave Flash time. For Wildmutt and Blitzwolfer, they both have wall scaling. Basically just pressing jump when near some kind of vertical surface, they will propel themselves upwards. For Blitzwolfer, his sonic abilities are still work in progress, as I'm trying to refactor how those are handled in general, so it's easier to implement across multiple characters. For Wildmutt, he can't do anything else as of now, but in the future, I'd like to add his quills from when he's an adult in Ben 10,000, and also some kind of Sonic-esque move where he goes into a ball plummeting towards the ground as some sort of attack/traversal move. Next up, Cannonbolt. He of course has his main ability, the ball form, for easy traversal, and while in ball form you can bounce on surfaces to gain height. He can also grab objects and enemies, holding them inside until ready to propel them outwards. This damages enemies when they slam into a surface after being launched, as well as certain objects like explosive barrels. Stinkfly and other flying aliens are fairly simple at the moment, but I'd like there to be a bit more to their flight to create a more engaging experience. In Spider-Man games, you have that constant gameplay while swinging, looking where to go next, controlling yourself on the web. I'd like to try and bring that to flight somehow. For Big Chill, using your wings more actively is something I'm looking to as a way to achieve this. Flapping them in order to build up momentum in the air, stuff like dodging/rolling will be cool as well. Jetray, of course, will get the same treatment, even more to an extent, as I intend to try and do his insanely fast flight justice. And for upgrade, he can turn into this toaster. No, but eventually in the future, I'd like to give him more tech to possess, especially now that I recently got vehicle traffic in. He's got to be able to possess these vehicles, and of course eventually more tech in the level, but that'll be for the future as it's very time consuming making upgrade versions of models, textures, and shaders for each object/vehicle. Next up, Echo. He has a signature scream that damages everything it passes through via his sound abilities. These also allow him to propel himself in the air as double, triple, quadruple, and finally quintuple jumps. Try saying that 3 times fast. Of course, he has his cloning abilities. These are basically AI NPC versions of the player that follow commands by the player. The player does this through a wheel menu. When picking a command, if there are no clones selected, it defaults to all of them. And of course, if you have specific clones selected, commands will only work for those clones. For the commands themselves, there is cancel/stop, go to location,
Get over here!
wander,
Wander around!
follow,
Follow me!
and my favorite, singing. In the future, I want more interaction and combat commands, like the wall of sound, pressing levers in sync, etc. Humungousaur. He's got a simple charge jump, then has his size shifting that allows him to go into his big boy form with the armor plating and spiked tail. This ability is dependent on the environment around you, so if the ceiling is not high enough to support your large form, if you begin growing, you revert back to normal size and has some voice indicators alerting you of this.
I need more space before I can use my full size.
He's currently voiced by Ethan from Initiative Entertainment, who has also supplied his voice for numerous other aliens. As well as Matt Rachis helped in the very early days of the project. As of now, he's the current voice for Spider Monkey, Cannonbolt, Big Chill, Goop, and a few others. Lastly, Alien X. With him basically being a god that can do anything and never be killed, it presented a really big issue with balancing and progression. And honestly, this issue hasn't been fixed. He's just here to have fun with as a player. For now, he doesn't possess any superpowers or combat in gameplay, but in spirit of him being able to create entire universes, I added a simple level editor. Akin to Minecraft's creative menu, you can select an item and place it in the world. These can be selected after the fact and resized, rotated, or simply moved somewhere else. There's one map specifically for saving your creations in, experimental, but technically you could share your save with other people. Eventually, I'd like to focus more on gameplay with actual abilities like telekinesis, grabbing and launching enemies or objects like you're a Jedi, teleportation, time manipulation, etc. In addition to the transformations, the Omnitrix also has a few extra features. With a large roster of transformations, even with the optimal wheel menu, you may crave for an even more efficient way of transforming, which is why I added voice recognition. To use this, you hold down the keybind that listens for your microphone and simply say the alien's name. Spider Monkey.
Spider Monkey!
Your mother.
Pig.
This is still a bit rough. It depends alien to alien the way you need to speak the name, but it already works better than I expected. Next, scanning. As of now, there isn't civilians or enemy versions of Ben's aliens, so inherently you can't really scan to unlock them yet, and the enemies that do exist don't really have transformation versions as of now, so it's not fully flashed out yet, but eventually I'd like you to be able to obtain NPC, enemy, and bosses' DNA samples. The Randomizer. Pretty straightforward. You randomly transform. Another quick way of transforming is via the hotkeys. This uses your number keys from 1 to 4. You can select any alien while in the wheel menu, hovering over them and pressing the desired number to set the hotkey. If you're not in the wheel, pressing the keys will transform you. Lastly, ultimates. All the canon ultimates are in-game. Majority are not developed with a few exceptions. As of now, I don't plan on adding non-canon ultimates, but feel free to suggest some if you have a good idea. Ultimate Humungousaur. He has his hand cannons, which of course shoot out rockets. He can also use these for traversal. I took inspiration from My Hero Academia with Bakugo's grenade gauntlets. He can also charge this jump to get a little higher, but that's pretty much it so far. Ultimate Cannonbolt. Like in the show, he's basically just a reskin for now. I attempted to add in wall traversal using his spikes to move along surfaces, but it was super buggy, so I'll need to remake that in the future. Lastly, Ultimate Wildmutt is the same story, just a reskin of his base form for now with the wall scaling. In the future, not sure how I'll go about it, but I'd like to have some Wolverine inspired elements for his ultimate form. Stuff like the bone claws and regeneration. Obviously, Ultimate Wildmutt has a tail, so whenever I can get to making combat animations, that's a unique element to be used to set him apart from the base form. That's all the ultimate forms for now worth mentioning. With ultimates and the rest of the features, they won't be available at the start, but need to be unlocked through progression. With that, how will you unlock them? In Galvan, progression happens through XP/levels and Omni Crystals. XP is gained by defeating enemies, bosses, completing missions, events, activities, etc. Omni Crystals are obtained from leveling and defeating bosses. This is basically the currency for all upgrades and unlocks. Moving on to the maps of the game, I really like the idea of having several different maps. So currently there's a few available in the pause menu under Worlds. This is sort of testing the waters for something bigger in the future. But as of now, there's the Compound, which was the first ever map I made. Major Metroidvania vibes. And of course, Bellwood, inspired by LEGO Marvel Superheroes New York. The map is still a work in progress. The layout, the level of detail, it's all in flux and evolving each time I work on it. Naturally, over time, it'll become more distinct and have my own landmarks and feel to it. And of course, having this city, the biggest bonus is the aliens' abilities now have a purpose, and it feels pretty cool to use them for platforming across buildings, climbing up them, etc. For the future of the city, I have lots of aspirations. It will take some time, but I would love to bring back some Metroidvania aspects with various locations and elements, but especially some kind of sewer system and other places places with potential nooks and crannies. Besides locations, gameplay is a part of those aspirations. Akin to Undefeated and Marvel Spider-Man, I'd love to bring in random crime and events, although I have lots of plans to expand on what those games did, and I'm pretty excited to start working on it. And having a literal speedster, I of course plan on adding races. Moving on from the future of the city to genuinely the future of the project. This project is still just in the beginning, there's a lot more I want to do. Starting with gameplay, with this being a sandbox, my goal isn't to tell a narrative, but instead something to have fun playing. My biggest objective right now for gameplay is actual activities and objectives to be done in the city. Primarily random crime, events, and disasters. Akin to Undefeated and Marvel Spider-Man, there will be random activities that pop up that the player needs to address, and of course they'll get rewarded for doing so. In both those respected games, for various reasons, the activities are a bit disappointing, either from repetitiveness or just lack of involvement. This is what I'll be trying my best to address when implementing them into Galvin. I want a lot of variety and to be more involved for the player to complete. I can't get into everything I have planned for now, but of course getting the basics in there like races, building fires, and random criminals is where I'll be starting. Next, playable characters. As I mentioned at the start, I'm inspired by the LEGO games, especially by the superhero ones which always have massive character rosters. Of course, I can't make 60 plus unique characters at the level of quality I aim for without it taking a while, which is to be expected. For now, I've started on Kevin and Gwen. They are super early, they have almost nothing but their assets imported into engine. Kevin can go between his human and ultimate form though, which has a pretty cool animation I made randomly one night like a maniac. Moving on to stuff that's a bit more loose, and I can't promise that they'll be here for a very long time. Firstly, multiplayer. I would love to include this at some point, but there are a few roadblocks at the moment preventing me from seriously considering working on this. Primarily server costs, and it may sound weird, but the player camera. I'm big on having a dynamic character that changes to add visual sauce to gameplay, and the system I'm using just doesn't work with multiplayer. Right now I'm waiting to see if Unreal 5.6 will be a viable option to move to, which would allow me to refactor the camera system with the gameplay camera system they introduced. Lastly, customization and skins. This would be another super cool feature. It'll be a technical challenge which I love, but as of now I'm still working on getting the base content in for Aliens. It wouldn't make sense right now to start making extra content when the base itself isn't solid. With all of that, this is a pretty ambitious project and will be a journey, but I'll be sharing updates along the way when I've made progress. If you want to help shape this game, I'd love your feedback. Best place to do that is joining the Discord. There's a dedicated suggestions forum that I check daily. Suggest aliens, new powers, mechanics, side missions, whatever you're thinking. And finally, a new public update is live on GameJolt. Huge thank you to my supporters on Ko-Fi and Patreon. You help keep my project alive. Be sure to subscribe for more devlogs, and I'll catch you in the next one.